Explore the uncharted territory of Cairo's hidden market world, where the vibrant streets of Ataba Square and El Rouaye come alive with an array of exotic goods, local delicacies, and unique shopping experiences. Join us as we delve into the heart of this bustling marketplace, discovering its secret gems and unveiling the authentic spirit of Egyptian culture. From spices and textiles to handicrafts and street food, every aspect of this hidden world is a treasure waiting to be uncovered. Get ready to immerse yourself in the sights, sounds, and aromas of Ataba Square and El Rouaye, and experience the magic of Cairo's best-kept secret. The name Ataba means the threshold in Arabic. And that is exactly what this place feels like. We're standing on a threshold between two different worlds. Behind me is the Cairo that Khedive Ismail dreamed up in the 19th century, his Paris on the Nile, with its wide boulevards and grand European buildings. In front of me is something else entirely. It's a vortex of human energy that just pulls you in. The air itself changes. It gets warmer, thicker, filled with 1,000 competing smells and a wall of sound you could almost touch. This square has been a hub for centuries, a place of constant change. This was once home to aristocratic palaces and the Khedive Opera House, the very first on the African continent. That beautiful building sadly burned down in 1971. And where it once stood, there's now a giant, concrete parking garage. It's a perfect, if accidental, metaphor for how this place evolved from a center of high culture into a capital of raw commerce. But the history is still here, buried just under the surface of modern life. That's what makes this so fascinating. We're about to peel back those layers. Let's cross the threshold. You don't just take a gentle stroll to Ataba, you get absorbed by its gravitational pull. The wide, sort of orderly streets of Old Cairo, with their elegant but tired-looking facades, start to come apart at the seams. You look up and see these gorgeous, Parisian-style balconies and ornate window frames, like ghosts from a forgotten era. But down here at street level, it's a completely different story. The river of people thickens into a flood. You see fewer suits and more men in galabeas, women balancing incredible loads on their heads, and delivery boys weaving handcarts through the chaos. The soundtrack changes, too. The distant city hum is replaced by a loud, personal symphony, the non-stop, strangely melodic honking of cars, the screech of a microbus door, and the roar of 1,000 conversations at once. Then, you start to hear the market itself. At first, it's just faint calls carried on the wind, but they get louder and more insistent with every step. Yabasha. Tafadal. Arabia. Watch your back. This is the sound of commerce at its most primal, a vocal dance that's echoed through Cairo's markets for 1,000 years. You feel the energy before you even see the source. It's a vibration in the pavement, a current in the air. This isn't just a place, it's a non-stop event, a perpetual motion machine powered by pure human will. You'll pass a building where the ground floor is a chaotic shop spilling onto the sidewalk, but the upper floors are a forgotten masterpiece of early 20th century design. That contrast is the essence of downtown Cairo. It's a city constantly arguing with its own history. The magnificent and the mundane aren't just neighbors here, they're fused together. Khedive Ismail's European dream is still standing, but it's been repurposed, covered in a layer of dust and daily life, and injected with an energy he never could have imagined. This isn't decay, it's adaptation. As we get closer, the last bits of Parisian order completely dissolve. Sidewalks become shops, and streets become a free-for-all. We're no longer approaching the market. We're in it. Stepping into Ataba proper is like jumping into the ocean. For a second, all your senses are overwhelmed, and you have no idea which way is up. It is breathtaking and absolutely heart-pounding. The scale of it is just hard to wrap your head around. This isn't a market, it's an ecosystem of commerce, one of the largest in the Middle East. Forget neat lanes and tidy stalls. This is a sprawling grid of streets and alleys that have merged into one single marketplace. The sound hits you first. It's a physical force, a wall of noise so thick you feel like you could lean on it. It's a million different sounds at once, thousands of people talking, shouting, and laughing. Vendors each have their own unique call, a personal jingle they've perfected over years to cut through the noise. One man chants the price of socks in a deep rhythm. Another sings an almost operatic praise of his dates. A loudspeaker blasts shabby music, its heavy bass giving the whole scene a frantic heartbeat. It's not just noise, it's the language of the square. After a while, you stop fighting it and just let it wash over you. Then, your eyes try to make sense of it all. There's no single place to look. Everything is demanding your attention. Mountains of neon-colored plastic buckets and baskets are stacked in towers that seem to defy gravity. Entire shops sell nothing but buttons and zippers. Walls are draped in shimmering fabrics, from cheap glittery cloth to simple cotton. Vendors have their whole inventory laid out on blankets on the ground, pyramids of oranges, piles of mismatched shoes, and cheap toys blinking with frantic LED lights. The crowd isn't just a bunch of people, it's a single, fluid organism. It moves with a collective mind, parting and reforming around a handcart piled high with mattresses or a family inspecting a kettle. You're swept up in the current. Personal space is a concept from another planet. You're shoulder to shoulder, moving as one, pushed forward by the market's relentless energy. You can't stand still if you wanted to. The market itself is breathing this tide of humanity in and out, and you're breathing with it. This is the first shock of Ataba. It's overwhelming and intimidating, but it's also completely exhilarating. This is the real, unfiltered pulse of Cairo, and we are right in its heart. The real secret to understanding Ataba? You have to get lost on purpose. You have to leave the main drags and let yourself be pulled into the capillaries, the narrow, winding alleys that branch off like tiny streams from a massive river. This is where the market's true character comes out. These alleys are quieter, but only by a little. The roar of the square fades to a dense hum, mixed with more intimate sounds, a tailor's scissors snipping, metalware clattering, the low murmur of a negotiation. I see an opening, barely wider than my shoulders, and I duck in. The sun is immediately blocked by buildings that lean toward each other, creating a permanent twilight. The world shrinks. Here, the market gets specialized. This alley is all about textiles. Bolts of fabric are stacked floor to ceiling in shops the size of a closet. The colors are dizzying, rich velvets, light cottons, and cascades of shimmering synthetics. Shopkeepers, mostly older men, sit on low stools, watching the river of people flow by. They don't shout here. A simple nod, a raised eyebrow, an invitation to feel the fabric, the salesmanship is more subtle. I watch a negotiation unfold. A woman is inspecting a bolt of dark blue cloth, rubbing it between her fingers. She murmurs a question to the shopkeeper. He answers quietly. She shakes her head with a little smile and makes a counteroffer. This is the classic art of haggling, and it's less an argument and more of a dance. After a few more exchanges, they agree on a price. Money is exchanged, the fabric is expertly wrapped, and she moves on. This tiny, everyday scene is a perfect example of the human relationships that hold this whole place together. I keep going deeper, turn a corner, and the world changes again. Soft fabrics give way to the hard gleam of metal. This is the kitchenware alley. Towers of aluminum pots, stacks of stainless steel plates, and walls hung with every pan you can imagine. It smells different here, cleaner, with a faint metallic tang. Young boys hurry past, balancing impossibly high stacks of pots on their shoulders. They're the market's human delivery system. It's here, in these tight corridors, that you realize Ataba isn't just a place to buy things. It's a self-contained universe. People are repairing things, cooking for other vendors, and hauling goods. It's a city within a city, with its own rules and its own rhythm. Getting lost here isn't a mistake, it's the whole point. It's how you start to see the individual stories and human connections that make this place so much more than just a market. If the sound of Ataba is a symphony, its smell is a feast. You can practically navigate this market by smell alone. And nowhere is that more true than in the food sections. The aroma of spices, street food, and fresh produce is everywhere, a constant invitation to taste the city. Wandering away from the hardware, new smells take over. First, it's the sweet, earthy scent of spices. Vendors sit behind mountains of vibrant powders, golden turmeric, deep red paprika, pale green cumin. An old man scoops a fragrant cloud of curry powder into a paper bag for a customer. This isn't the stuff you get in a jar at the supermarket, this is the real, potent deal. Woven into the spices is the unmistakable smell of something cooking. I follow my nose, and the scent of frying onions gets stronger. Around a corner, I find the source, a tiny food cart. A man is masterfully assembling bowls of koshari, Egypt's king of street food. He moves with an easy grace, scooping layers of rice, lentils, and pasta, then topping it all with spicy tomato sauce, chickpeas, and a handful of crispy fried onions. People crowd around, waiting patiently for a quick, cheap, and delicious refuel. A few feet away, another vendor is dropping balls of tamaya, what the rest of the world calls falafel, into a vat of bubbling oil. The smell is nutty and fresh. He scoops the bright green paste, drops it in the hot oil, and the balls puff up, turning a perfect golden brown. He fishes them out and stuffs them into warm pita bread with tomatoes, pickles, and tahini. The whole thing is a little piece of street theater. The flavors here are as bold and unapologetic as the market itself. This is food designed to hit the spot and give you a burst of energy. You see everyone eating together on the street, shopkeepers, delivery boys, shoppers, families. The food stalls are the great equalizers, where the business of buying and selling stops for the simple pleasure of a good meal. To see Ataba without tasting its food is to miss out on a huge part of its soul. This is the taste of real Cairo. After the sensory overload of Ataba, you need to come up for air. I find a slightly less insane corner to just watch. This place never stops. It's a living thing, its arteries clogged with commerce and life. Ataba is where, as the locals joke, you can find anything from a needle to, well, maybe not a missile, but you get the idea. It's a chaotic carnival of stuff. But my journey isn't over. The locals will tell you that as wild as Ataba is, it's only half the story. Connected to it, almost blending into it, is another market with its own unique vibe, El Ruwaiye. If Ataba is the public face of Cairo's commerce, El Ruwaiye is its hidden engine room. They say it's even more intense and more specialized. The transition is subtle, there's no sign or gate. The mix of goods just starts to narrow. The alleys get tighter, the crowd's more focused. You're leaving the world of the casual shopper and entering the world of the specialist, the wholesaler, and the craftsman. El Ruwaiye is famous for stationery, books, and paper, but it's much more than that. It feels like going from the main floor of a library into the archives, where the really interesting stuff is kept. The energy shifts from frantic chaos to a focused, industrial hum. This isn't a market for browsing, it's a market for sourcing. This is where other shopkeepers from all over Cairo come to buy their stock. I'm leaving the main arteries of Ataba behind and getting ready to plunge back in. The promise of El Ruwaiye is a deeper layer of Cairo, a world even further off the tourist map. Let's head in. The second you step into what feels like El Ruwaiye, the shift is real. The sky pretty much disappears. The buildings are so close and the goods are stacked so high, you're basically walking through man-made tunnels. The only light comes from the occasional bare bulb hanging from a mess of wires, casting long, dramatic shadows. This place feels ancient, almost underground. The specialization is instant. One alley is all about paper. Not just notebooks, but every kind of paper and cardboard imaginable. Huge rolls of brown paper are stacked like columns. Reams of colored paper create bright stripes along the walls. The air smells of paper and glue. The shopkeepers are tucked into tiny nooks, completely surrounded by their goods. I turn a corner, and the world goes from paper to plastic. This is the wholesale district for every kind of plastic bag and container. The sheer volume is mind-boggling. This is the backstage of the city's economy. That kosher you bought in Ataba. The container it came in was probably from this very alley. What do you think of this side of Cairo? If you love seeing the real, authentic heart of a city, let me know in the comments. It honestly helps us keep making these kinds of trips. And hey, if you've ever been to a market this wild, I want to hear that story. Now, let's keep going. Another turn, and the alley opens up a bit. The sounds of metalworking fill the air, a rhythmic hammering, the screech of a grinder. This is where tools and hardware are sold. It feels like a different century. Men with grease-stained hands sharpen blades on spinning wheels, sending showers of sparks into the dark. Shelves are loaded with hammers, pliers, and wrenches. There's a sense of real skill and hard work here. But what's most striking about El Ruwaiye is the community. This is a vertical village squashed into a maze of alleys. You see vendors sharing a cup of tea. Kids who grew up here navigate the twists and turns like it's their personal playground. There's a powerful sense of connection, of a community built on shared space and depending on each other. They aren't just competitors, they're neighbors. This place isn't putting on a show for tourists. It doesn't need to. It exists for the city. To walk here feels like being granted a temporary pass into a secret world, a privilege you earn by being willing to get completely lost. Coming out of the tight alleys of El Ruwaiye and back onto a wider, sunlit street feels like surfacing after a deep dive. My ears are still ringing, and my eyes are adjusting to the light. It's in these quiet moments that you realize what places like this really are. They're more than just markets. They're living museums of culture, community, and incredible human resilience. In a world of sterile malls and anonymous online shopping, these markets are defiantly human. Every sale is a conversation. Every price is a negotiation. Every stall is a family's life's work. They are vital social hubs where the bonds of community are strengthened every single day. What's truly amazing is the contrast. Just a few blocks away, modern Cairo marches on with its skyscrapers and global brands. But here, in the labyrinthine heart of downtown, a different way of life doesn't just survive, it thrives. This is living history, where ancient traditions meet the demands of a modern megacity. The presence of cell phones and plastic goods doesn't make it less authentic, it shows that this place is alive, adapting to the present without letting go of the past. The entrepreneurial spirit here is off the charts. It's a testament to the resilience of people who, through sheer hard work and social connection, build a life and sustain a community. The government has started efforts to modernize the area, which is necessary for safety and organization. You just have to hope that these changes can preserve, not erase, the chaotic, organic, and profoundly human soul of the market. Because that soul is the real treasure. As the afternoon sun starts to dip, I find a small local cafe, an awa, just outside the chaos. I order a mint tea, it's sweet, hot sting a perfect remedy for the day's sensory overload. From here, I can still hear the distant roar of Ataba, a constant reminder of the world I just left. Today wasn't about seeing monuments. It was about experiencing the city as a living thing. It was about feeling its pulse, unfiltered, chaotic, and beautiful. Ataba Square and El Ruwayeh Market aren't for the faint of heart. They demand your full attention and will leave you exhausted and exhilarated at the same time. But they offer a reward that no manicured tourist site ever could, a real glimpse into the soul of Cairo. A soul that isn't found in silent temple stones, but in the call of a street vendor, the laugh of a child in a crowded alley, and the warmth of a shared cup of tea in the middle of the glorious, beautiful chaos. If you really want to understand this city, you have to be willing to get lost in it. You have to step over the threshold and just let its current carry you away.